everyone. Thank you so much for tuning in for today's podcast. My name is Crystal Duku, and I'm very excited to be on today's Author to Authority podcast, where I get to talk about all things social media. And I know you've heard social media thrown around a lot, especially within the last few years. And everyone has a social media plan. Everyone is getting their business on social media, and you feel like you have to be on it. And while it is very, very lucrative and it's a great way to really get your business out there and get your business exposed, I know that it can sometimes be overwhelming, but that's why I'm here and I'm happy to share different tips and tricks on how to develop a good social media plan for your business, share ideas on what type of platforms are best to use, and tips on how to use those platforms. But for today's episode, I'm going to focus on some general information that you can use to apply in your social media strategy, regardless of the platform that you're on. So whether it is LinkedIn, whether it is Facebook, TikTok, Instagram, Pinterest, YouTube, you name it, you can actually use these tips that I'm going to share today across the board, regardless of the platform that you're in, to get the results that you want. So before I delve into those tips, just a little bit of background information on me. My name is Crystal Duku, as I mentioned, and I have been a social media manager for 7+ years now. I work with small business owners, entrepreneurs, and individuals to help them understand what their message is and develop a plan that can get that message out to their audience on their social media platform of choice. I really have been passionate about it. I've been in social media since ICQ days, MSN Messenger days. I've always loved the online space, and I enjoy helping others learn how to do that as well. So grab your pen, grab your paper, and if you need to stop the podcast to take notes, definitely do so. So in today's world, I know that social media is very prevalent, and sometimes you think, well, this person is doing this, what do I need to do? They're getting this, what do I need to do? And it can get overwhelming. But regardless of the platform that you're on, I want you to focus firstly on quality. It is very important to have quality content. So sometimes you might see somebody that's posting 4 times a day, and then you might see somebody that posts 3 times a week, and they're getting the same content, or maybe the one that's posting 3 times a week is getting better engagement. It boils down to the quality of your content. You want to definitely, when you're creating content to put out on your social media platforms, you definitely want to focus on the quality that you're putting out. And how do you do that? You probably say, well, Crystal, how do I figure out if my content is of quality? And these are 3 questions I always ask myself while I am preparing content to put out, whether it's for myself or for my clients. One is this information correct? Sometimes there's a lot of information that's put out there that is not correct, that may not have the right information, and you don't want to later on have to come back and retract that, right? So you always want to double check, triple check that your information that you're putting out to your audience is correct. Remember, you are the authority in your area. So if people are coming to you for information, they're trusting that your information is correct. And you do have that responsibility to make sure that you are providing that right information to really showcase yourself as the authority in that particular area. So always double and triple check that the information is correct, that it's updated, that the statistics, the steps, everything is correct, so that they know, hey, I'm getting the right information. The second question I always ask is, what value is my audience receiving from this? Yeah, it might be tempting to post something that might seem, oh, this looks fun, but it doesn't provide any value, right? And maybe all your content, oh, this is fun, let me post this, let me post that, but it's not providing value. So stop and ask, before you post, ask yourself, what is my audience taking away from this? Is this a piece of information that's going to help them solve a problem? Is this a piece of information that lets them know about the industry? Is this something that can help them, that can teach them something? Is this a piece of information that would solve a problem that they might be having? So you always want to ask, what value are they getting? What are they taking away from this? The next piece of advice, or the next question I would ask when I'm creating content is like, what is the longevity of this content, or what is the lifespan, right? So sometimes you might post something and it's relevant for a week and it doesn't have any staying power. But if you develop content that a year from now somebody would laugh and say, wow, that's still very relevant, then a year from now you would have people sharing your content. So those three questions you always want to ask: is this information correct? Is this the correct information that I'm putting out to my audience? What value is this sharing? And three, what is the lifespan of this content? The second thing is that you want to be charming. And what I mean by charming is that you want to be engaging. So when you think of a charming person, you think of someone that is engaging, right? They ask the right questions, they're complimentary, they listen when you're speaking, and they respond to what it is that is being said. You're like, oh my gosh, that person is so charming. They listened to what I had to say. They commented on something that I said. They remembered a fact about me. And that is what makes the person charming. So that's how you want to show up on your social media platforms. You want to be charming. And what I mean charming is that, yes, you want to be smiley, and you definitely want to really be engaging and be funny and showcase your personality, but charming with your audience. So if someone is commenting or engaging with your content, you want to ask questions. You want to go on their content, or you want to go on their feed and see what they're posting and engage with it. Ask them questions, get to know them, because as you're getting to know them, it's not gimmick, or it's not a it is a strategy, but it's a genuine interest in who your audience is and wanting to make that connection. And when you make that connection, when you engage with other people's content, when you show up and you reciprocate, when you start posting, they do the same. One of the rule of thumb that I always say with social media is that even before you begin posting, start showing up where your target audience is. Look at their content, engage with their content, share information on their content, on what they might have said, or answer a question that they might be asking, a comment on something that they might have put out. And when you start to do that consistently, people return that to you. So by the time you start putting content, they're giving back to you, because they know that you're a charming individual. The third tip that I would advise is, listen, as entrepreneurs, we're very, very busy. We have a lot of things going on. The to-do list runs into the next day and sometimes the next week. And then you're thinking, oh my gosh, I have to do social media content now. I don't have time in the day for that. And that gets pushed down, especially if that is not your priority. It does get pushed down, right? But social media is about consistency. So then how do you fix that? You find scheduling tools. There is Postcron, there's Buffer, there's Hootsuite, there's even Facebook that uses their Meta suite that you can schedule out your posts. So maybe it's a day that's not as busy, or it's a day that you can focus on these administrative work, you spend some time, build out your content and schedule it out, whether it's for a week in advance or 2 weeks in advance. You schedule out content. Now, if something comes up, you can always go in and post it. But at least, if you get a busy week, you don't have to worry about, oh my gosh, I have to get on social media and post this. The content is there. And the good news about these scheduling apps is that they usually know when your audience is the busiest. So they also know the optimal time to post. So you can just hit that schedule button and say post at the optimal time, and it posts it out. And it really takes a lot out of your plate. And then the next tip that I would share is that you want to be very natural. You want to become friendly with your social media, I'm so sorry, like my word, social media analytics, right? And what that means, every business page that you're on, there are the analytics. So you want to spend some time looking at the analytics. You can look at the analytics on a weekly basis, on a daily basis, on a monthly basis, and like in like 3 months, 6 months, on a yearly basis. And the reason that it's good to always pay attention to your analytics is because it tells you what content is doing well. It tells you actually who is responding to your content. I remember one time I had a client and they thought that this is the people that their content was reaching. And then when I shared the analytics, I was like, no, actually it's a whole different group that's responding very favorably to your content. And because of that, they were able to develop their ads, they were able to develop their messaging to really reach that group. So the analytics really give you a lot of information on how to better reach your audience and how to better serve your audience, and even provides information to you about an audience that you may not have even thought about. So really get friendly with it, spend some time looking at it, seeing when your audience is most active, seeing the type of content that does very well, and you get to develop your plan on how to move that forward. And the fifth tip is that you want to really showcase your personality. There are things that you do want to follow and listen to with other people, but social media is really, and it's not, sometimes, yes, you can get on there and sell and you use that, but it's also a place for people to get to know you, know who you are, know that there is a real person behind your brand, behind your business. Because when someone is able to connect with you and they're able to really understand, hey, this is the person, this is the face behind it, they really become more connected with your message. Nothing replaces that human interaction. A case in point, I love Yorkies. They're adorable. I had a little Yorkie myself. Sadly, she passed away a couple weeks ago, very peacefully. She lived a happy life, but I love Yorkies. So because I had a Yorkie, I started following these Yorkie videos on Instagram. Turns out it was a business where she sold grooming products for Yorkies, right? So before me starting to purchase the stuff for my Yorkie, I started to follow her, and her Yorkies were so cute. And I would always comment, and then she would comment back on it. And sometimes, like the stories, I would reply to the stories, and I'm like, they're so cute. And then she would respond. Her face was never on it. It was always the dogs. But of course, she's a real person. She would respond. She's like, oh my gosh, here's some behind the scene footage of us preparing for the shoot. Or here's this. So if I say happy birthday, she'll respond. And when it came time for me to purchase stuff, she was the one that I was purchasing from, because I knew that she had that love for her Yorkies too. She has a great business, but she did not treat it just like a business or just like a corporation. She had that human personality behind it and was able to make that connection with me way before I was a customer. right? And so that's just a takeaway that you always want to bear in mind, is to be yourself, showcase the person that you are, connect with your audience, send them behind the scene footage, engage with them, respond to your DMs. And that in that manner, you're really going to pull in a lot more individuals. They're going to be more loyal to your brand, and they're going to follow you and share your stuff. Look at this. I'm here talking about her business, Yorkie Heaven, in a podcast, right? Because I just remember that connection that she made. And so these are just 5 simple tips to use when building your business. One, as I mentioned, quality. You focus on the quality of your content and ask those questions. Is this information correct? What value is it providing? And what is the lifespan or longevity of this particular piece of content? You want to be engaged, you want to be charming, engaged, comment on other people's posts, share other people's posts. Do unto others what you would want them to do unto your content, right? And then utilize the scheduling tools. Then you also want to become very friendly with your analytics and also be yourself. So the next time I'm going to focus on some more tips that you can use to share to continue growing your social media platform. But if you have any questions, feel free to connect with me on my email. It's info@imagerymentors.com. I'd be happy to help you. Connect with me on LinkedIn. And I look forward to joining you guys again the next time for more all things social media. Have a great day.